Before we move into the Stage 5 demonstration, I'd like to review with you and give you a context of the Stage 5 learner's accomplishments. We started with establishing a reliable behavior for learning. Over top of that reliable behavior, we put receptive vocabulary activities and then expressive vocabulary activities where we've added in some choice making and the child's ability to be able to apply that behavior for learning and their language for learning into language identification activities. Taking that behavior and language that we've established, we move into the academic areas. Notice the direction of the arrows. We never move backwards. The academic area of readiness we've established at stage 4, and now that we've established that, we can move around in these other different academic areas. I will go into stage 5 demonstration right now, but please notice that we're bringing all of the skills that we've already established into the stage 5 learning environment. A stage 5 learner is actively working in your local standard curriculum. They are working to show us that their academic performance is progressing in a forward manner and that they are using the language and reliable behavior that we've established already in order to do that. The learner is recognizing words, starting to apply that early readiness into the literacy environment, understands more complex sentences now. If they're using an augmentative communication device, they will now be a dynamic display user. They understand the basic readiness concepts of numbers and quantities, and they can perform simple operations in math, and they start to demonstrate that they can apply problem-solving abilities. The stage 5 learner works with concepts and ideas and can apply them in an academic area. We still want a supportive and encouraging environment there, but we're going to be a little bit more strict in terms of our expectations of a stage 5 learner. We know they can do it, and we're going to expect solid performance. Here are some IEP objectives, and you can see where all of our hard work has paid off, because now we're thinking about reading with accuracy and working in mathematical environment with accuracy, even if we're using tools to do those skills. Let's take a look at the curriculum now that we're assessing. Certainly you would want to keep in mind that recommendation for a stages period a few times a week, because you would never test all of this in one sitting. Let's take a look at the settings before you go into the curriculum areas. One more time, please remember that all of these different devices, we have subsets of decisions that we might need to make for these devices. What might that highlight box look like? So forth. The prompting is here, but notice that we don't have a schedule any longer. We have a learner who's going to be allowed to ask to hear the question again if he needs it, but of course the rewards are still there. Under problem solving, we have a number of different kinds of activities. Within these activities, there are subsets of activities. You would probably never give all these activities. I'm sure you would never give all these activities in one day. You would have to have a deliberate long-term plan. Under math, National Council of Teachers of Math says up to the 4th grade, so this would be up to a 4th grade math level. We're looking at 3 different kinds of charts and graphs: a point-to-point line graph, a bar graph, and a pie chart. Skip this for a moment. In geometry, we're looking at 3 kinds of geometry. Area, which is perhaps how many tiles it would take to tile a floor. Perimeter, which might be how many steps it would take to go around a garden. Or 3-dimensional measures, how many cubes would it take to fill a box. Fractions, 2 kinds of fractions. From word problems, I went to the zoo, I saw 10 animals, 3 of them are lions. Can you make that fraction? And also coloring in the number of portions to make a fraction or depict a fraction. Notice the explore buttons are still there. That practice question is still important to have. Let's look at computation a little closer. Remember I mentioned that these skill areas are aligned with the National Council of Teachers of Math skills mandates. They don't necessarily mention computation as an important skill. They advocate the use of tools such as calculators. However, local standards do specify computation skills, so we did put those in as a way for you to assess them, and they are broken down into levels: subtraction, addition and subtraction, with and without regrouping, say for your first and second graders, and then starting in late second grade and third and fourth graders you would go into multiplication and division, again with and without regrouping, remainders, so forth. And then we have the reading activities. These activities are based on the research of balanced literacy. The letters activity is how letters work within words, and for that we have devised two different alphabetizing activities. The first one where the initial consonants are all different, and the second one where the initial consonants are all the same, but you have to go deeper and deeper into the word in order to be able to alphabetize the words. Sounds are the phonetic sounds, and we've used a rhyming activity here, both with words that are spelled the same word family, like cat, fat, hat, mat, bat, and words that are spelled differently, like feet and eat, to see whether or not kids can sound out the words and know whether or not they rhyme. The context, I'm skipping meaning because I'm going to demonstrate that one for you. The context activity is using the high frequency word, 10 high frequency words that establish the kid's ability in reading for 25% of all the words that the children will ever see in any reading passage. We first show them the words in a story in the Explore, and then in the context test we look at to see whether they can pick those words off of a word wall and reinsert them back into a story. For the meaning processor in the balanced literacy research, these four brain functions, the meaning processor in the brain function, we've used the Dolch vocabulary words to test, and this then will give us our grade level. These are primer, pre-primer, primer, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Still an explore activity, but the assess activities will give us back a grade level score. Let's test second grade words. This tells us how long the still want problem